When I was little, my father was famous. He was the greatest samurai in the empire. He cut off the heads of 131 lords.
Hey everybody, Jerry Williams, aka Greater Sapien here. Thanks for stopping by. Today we have more from Dubay's 200 Proofs Earth is Not a Spinning Ball. We'll do 144 for real this time. Pictures of the moon appearing upside down in the southern hemisphere and right side up in the north are often cited as proof of a ball Earth, but once again, upon closer inspection, provide another proof of the flat model. In fact, time-lapse photography show the moon itself turns clockwise like a wheel as it circles over and around the Earth. You can find pictures of the moon at 360 degrees of various inclination from all over the Earth, simply depending on where and when the picture was taken. As I said yesterday, this is just Dubay and flat earthers confusing the rotation of the viewer with the rotation of the moon. I was thinking of bringing up a whole model with a moon attached to a rod, but I realize that's far more than this claim deserves, and I can do it right here using anything I have on hand. So I'll use this phone. You can do it with me. I'll hold this phone out in front of me, right side up, and I'm going to move the phone up and behind me without rotating it. See that? No rotation. Now, if I only move my head on one plane around one axis, I can see that the phone does not rotate. But if I do this again and move not just along the one axis, but rotate myself so I stay upright, when I get to this side, the phone is now upside down for me. I did not rotate the phone counterclockwise, yet, in my view, the phone did just that. Yet I have the sense to understand that the phone did not rotate around its visual center, and neither does the moon. Why don't you? Number 145. Heliocentrists believe the moon is a ball, even though its appearance clearly is that of a flat, luminous disk. We only ever see the same one face, albeit at various inclinations, of the moon, yet it is claimed that there is another dark side of the moon, which remains hidden. NASA states the moon spins the opposite spin of the Earth in such a perfectly synchronized way that the motions cancel each other out, so we will conveniently never be able to observe the supposed dark side of the moon outside of their terrible fake CGI images. The fact of the matter is, however, if the moon were a sphere, observers in Antarctica would see a different face from those at the equator. Yet they do not, just the same flat face, rotated at various degrees. Nope. The moon's appearance is clearly that of a spherical object. We already covered that part in claim 133. I also covered the fact that though we see the same side of the moon from the Earth, its face changes slightly throughout its orbit in what is known as lunar libration. You can call the images of the far side of the moon CGI if you want, but they are only CGI if you consider the photos and videos from a phone camera to be CGI. And that's just absurd. Your claim about what should be seen in Antarctica is based on a lack of understanding of how distance affects the visual angle for the observer. Since the moon is far away from the Earth, observers across the span of the Earth have a nearly identical view of the moon, though they have to turn and face opposite directions in the north compared to the south. 10,000 miles between locations isn't much compared to the 239,000 to the moon. Contrast that with a moon supposedly only a few thousand miles away, as Dubay so scientifically put it. 10,000 miles of separation between viewers would result in two very different shapes to the moon. And once again, I have to bring up that you yourself took the position that the shape of the celestial bodies has no bearing on the shape of the Earth, yet For some reason, you seem to feel it is imperative to the shape of the Earth that the sun and the moon be flat circles. But I digress. Number 146. The ball Earth model claims the moon orbits around the Earth once every 28 days, yet it is plain for anyone to see that the moon orbits around the Earth every single day. The moon's orbit is slightly slower than the sun's, but follows the sun's same path from tropic to tropic, solstice to solstice, making a full circle over the Earth in just under 25 hours. This isn't even close to proof against a globe. This is nothing but an unsupported claim. Not only is it unsupported, but it gets the apparent path of the moon wrong because the moon's orbit has an inclination of 5.1 degrees to the ecliptic, meaning the path of the moon goes farther north than the Tropic of Cancer and farther south than the Tropic of Capricorn. Number 147. The ball Earth model claims the sun is precisely 400 times larger than the moon and 400 times further away from the Earth, making them falsely appear exactly the same size. Once again, the ball model asks us to accept as coincidence something that cannot be explained other than by natural design. The sun and moon occupy the same amount of space in the sky and have been measured with sextants to be of equal size and equal distance. So claiming otherwise is against our eyes, experience, experiments, and common sense. Actually, Eric, the accepted model of the Earth and solar system does not say any such thing. While it's true in casual conversation, phrases like the sun is 400 times as big and 400 times as far away compared to the moon are used, but that's just that. Casual discussion. But since you mentioned precision, let me try to be as reasonably precise as I can in a short period of time. With a radius of 695,700 kilometers, the sun is 400.864220 times the size of the moon, which has a radius of 1,737.5 kilometers. At an average distance from the Earth of 149,597,870.7 kilometers, the sun is 389.172542 times farther from the Earth than the moon, which averages 384,400 kilometers. That's the average. When the moon is at its farthest point, its apogee of 405,500 kilometers, the sun is only 368.225786 times as far. But when the moon is at its perigee, the closest point, at 363,300 kilometers, the sun is a whopping 411.889382 times as far. Being precise about it. And this difference in distance is why we sometimes have an annular solar eclipse with a ring of fire and a total solar eclipse. Because sometimes the moon is close enough to cover the entire sun, and sometimes it appears smaller in the sky and doesn't cover it all. But Eric, if you want to talk common sense and experience, if the sun and moon were at the same distance, as you said in 146, traveling the same path, but at different speeds, common sense and experience say that they would run into one another. That's common sense, right?
You keep using the word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
That's my job! That's what I do!
Hey everybody, if the last 9 minutes wasn't enough to make you sick of the sound of my voice, you're in luck. If you head over to the You Are Mopped YouTube channel, linked above, you'll find an interview with me where I monopolize the conversation for well over an hour. Enjoy.
I win! Is there no one on this planet to even challenge me?
Maybe you came by to congratulate me on last night's victory.